Welcome to Floating Nifty Podcast. I'm Shouwen from Seattle.
And I'm Noah, also from Seattle, but at this time I'm in Taiwan.
Well, I guess I should say I'm Shouwen from Taiwan, but in Seattle.
I'm Noah from Dongding.
So guess what we are talking about? We're going to talk about today.
Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun.
Oh, damn it.
Dun 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 dun. Dongding.
Dongding, yeah. Okay, so today we are gonna talk about Dongding.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in Dongding for a week now.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think of the place?
I love
the place, the feeling.
I love being here. It's it's very natural. It's very it's the living is old fashioned, kind of rustic. Mm-hmm. It's really nice. Mm-hmm. You know, back to nature kind of feeling, you know. There's the food is really good. Like basic, nothing like, you know, Michelin star level stuff or anything, but like the ingredients are all really good. Mm-hmm. And as you know, you've been there plenty of times.
Yeah.
But
they could Mrs. Su cook very simple food, you know, pretty much like stir fry vegetables and pan fried fish, and then pan fried chicken. And if there's a soup, it's like bamboo shoot soup. That's what I remember. And
we drink a lot of bamboo shoot soup.
Yeah, that's my favorite. And then her specialty, some sort of meatballs, kind of like soup and kind of like stew. She made that.
Yeah,
also.
We had that too. We had that yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Because I said it's her specialty is because Mr. Su always says her specialty. But this morning, after I got up, I saw you post on Instagram and Facebook, and there's a photo of Dongding landscaping. I mean the mountain, I guess. And you talk about, you know, when you were at Dongding, you what did you say? Like you kind of taste like you can taste the place in the tea.
Yeah, the first time I went to Dongding, I could taste. I felt like I understood the tea, not in a different way, but I understood the tea more based in the place that it comes from. Like I could feel like when I look at the place, I can taste the taste of the tea, and vice versa. When I taste the tea, I can see the place a little bit. And the first time I had that feeling was when I was in Pinglin with Farmer Chen, the Farmer's Choice Baozhong farmer. When I went to Pinglin for the first time, I felt like I could taste the place in the tea, because that was the first time I've ever been to a tea producing region. And then it happened again when I went to Dongding, and now this time coming to Dongding for a much longer time, it just becomes more and more obvious. And something about Dongding for me is the I've alluded to it before, but it's just so full of life in every way. Plant life, animal life, all kinds of bugs. Just like the way that the plants grow out of the land is like they're just like so completely full of energy. It's crazy. And it comes through in the tea. There's something special about Dongding that other places don't have. And it's not that the fragrance is so attractive or like captures your attention because it's so, you know, gorgeous or something like that. It's actually the fragrance is, you know, has kind of a fruit taste and a little bit of mineral taste, and, you know, solid. But the energy of the tea is like no other place. And you can see it when you go there. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think first time when I went up to Dongding, it brought a very strange feeling. It brought some sadness to me. Actually, I felt that the place was very different from, like, you mentioned Pinning. You mentioned you can taste the place in the tea. Yes, Pinning was open and green and relaxing to me. And
Yeah.
Mr. Chen is such a delightful farmer, and it shows in his tea. And I mean, people can dig out my blog post that I wrote, I don't know how many years ago, that my story is on Dongding Mountain. It was
They're doing construction downstairs.
oh, okay. It was a pretty intense. It was a pretty intense experience on the first trip because Mr. Su, is how do you describe him?
He's
very
eccentric.
stubborn person. Eccentric, yes. He's kind. He's filled with kindness, but there's roughness about him. The way he talk about things, I wouldn't describe him as a delightful person.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of pressure, and then the place Dongding at that time didn't. It just felt so different. It's like different from the Alishan that I went to. It's different from tea fields that I went to. It's different from Pinning that I went to. Because those places that it's that kind of green. It's like you say, it's full of life. Also, the other places, but it's like the other places feel very pretty, and Dongding at that time didn't feel pretty to me. And I
With
asked
Dongding,
myself,
for me, there's a... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I asked myself, like, what was it then? And then I think the sadness came from, I feel the place ran down.
Mm.
It was not as popular as a tea place anymore,
Yeah.
And then I started to really like the place is when you stand on the Dongding Plateau and you look around, and it just feel of those big mountains everywhere, It's that kind of big and grandness when you just stand on the plateau and look around, and it just filled with those big mountains. And then I was
there's
like,
nowhere else like it. There's absolutely nowhere else
and
like
I was
it.
like, it feels so different. And then the thing is, I think in other places when you look around, you can still see mountains. I mean, Taiwan basically is pretty much an island of mountains, but when you stand in Pinning, for example, and you look around, and the mountains actually feel very green and peaceful to me. It's just very different feeling.
In Dongding, the feng shui is so special. It's like there's like a concentration of energy in Dongding that I don't think any other place has. Because you can go up really high elevation tea farms. I've been to a few now, and they can be very pretty. Like you look out, and then you're higher than anywhere else, right? You look out, and there's that sea of clouds, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Like the mist and the distance that you can see is so far, and it shows up in those teas. The floral and citrus kind of aromas are so bright and beautiful. The first time I had a good tea was at Alesan. That was the kind of tea that grabbed my attention the first time. It's the kind of tea that really grabs your attention. You can't not be attracted to those teas. They're just so pretty. And like you said, there's something else going on in Dongding, and I don't personally feel it as sad or there's a depth there. There's a depth to the scenery. Yes. There's a depth to the amount of life. Like you said, other places are green. Like Pinglin is green. It's really green. It's like obscenely green. It's like there's so much. But in Dongding, it's like there's so much energy there. The things are bursting out, and they have almost more energy than you want them to have. It's almost uncomfortable how much life there is there, because it's just sprouting out in every corner.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
There's like tangled vines coming down everywhere. There's gigantic spiders. There's just like the way that the plants come out. It's like they want to live so badly that they just push their way through. Like there's a real strength there that's different. It's different than any other tea region that I've ever been to. And you're right. There's also the sadness, or maybe not sadness, but there's a sentimental feeling or a nostalgic feeling of times when Dongding was like the tea in all of Taiwan, because it can't compete with the fragrance of Haiman Oolong. I mean, the elevation just isn't that high, so you're not gonna get those things. So when the market asks for high elevation fragrance, Dongding is not gonna be. There's just no way. But and that reflects in the people that the farmers that have been there for a long time, the families that have been there for a long time. They know that their tea can't fetch those kind of prices,
Yeah.
But they also believe really strongly in their tea because they're there all the time and they know how good it is. We went to a tea field. We went to a lot of tea fields a couple days ago. It was raining, so we couldn't do work. So we just traveled around to a bunch of different tea fields. And one of them, where our traditional A comes from, it's there's just so many other things growing in with the tea plants.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. And the plants themselves are really old. Like the trunk looks like all gnarled and covered in moss and thick, And there's all kinds of really, all the tea plants have a lot of personality in that field. Yeah.
And that's Dongding. Dongding has personality.
Yeah,
Dongding
exactly.
Oolong tea is not pretty. And nowadays, I think some people are making the Dongding tea a little bit more on the green side because people
That's what the market's asking
consumers,
for.
Yeah, the market is asking for that. But when we are talking about Dongding, we are talking about the Dongding tea that had been going through the shade green process a little bit more and oxidized a little bit further, a little bit roasted, and that kind of Dongding it's not pretty anymore, and it's loaded with personality.
Yeah.
For people to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm drinking a tea that we picked.
Nice.
It's a wild black tea.
Oh, the day that you guys went out to harvest the tea?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, this is from like a even more wild tea garden where it's not near anyone's house. It's not tended in any way.
Do those tea plants belong to anyone?
I don't think so. I think that anyone can go and pick them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you just go and pick them.
It just got abandoned.
Yeah, they're just abandoned.
Okay.
And they've been there for a long time. They're old and they're hard to pick. It's really hard to pick. It's kind of like picking blackberries. You have to pick for the really high up ones if you want to get the good stuff. There are some moments that where it's like really tall.
Those plants?
Some of them are taller than me, like significantly taller, so that I have to reach up and grab the branches down and then pick the new shoots off the top if I want to be able to get to them, and like put something there and stand up on top of it. So there's some tall trees, there's some wide trees, there's some young trees. It's just like a seed fell off and it started to grow,
Oh,
like
that is so
younger
cool.
saplings. So like it's like really the tea has gone back to be wild again.
That's nice.
Yeah, totally. And
Super organic.
and the tea is completely handmade by Mama Sue, the
Mama Sue.
Mama Sue, who does all the actual work. She does all the tea making. And it's like Dongding Oolong. The flavor is not so attractive. It's not like Crimson Lishan, for example. We had that tea a couple years ago. It's like really complex, a huge amount of notes. This one's not like that. But the energy is so beautiful, like so beautiful.
Because of those wild tea plants, I think.
Yeah, totally, totally.
So I bet you guys then couldn't pick too many leaves that day.
Yeah, we didn't get very much. Yeah, there's not that much to be picked. So,
Yeah.
but it sounds like there's wild plants all over the place in Dongding. So like,
That is so
I mean,
cool.
there's only so much you can do in one day if it's just me and Mr. Sue and Mama Sue and then one of Mr. Sue's cousin's kids came out to help too. So just 4 people, and I pick about half as fast as Mr. Su, and Mr. Su picks about half as fast as his wife. So so there's only so much tea you can pick in one day. So yeah, we got about, all 4 of us together, we got about 7 jin. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So is that a tea that we are gonna carry?
Eventually, I'm gonna give it some time. Actually,
Ah,
it's like pu'er. Actually, it's a lot like pu'er. Even though it's a black tea, the processing, they don't use heat to kill the enzymes. They just dry it.
oh, nice. I
Yeah.
think,
So there's actually there's no kill green at all.
so they just naturally dry it?
They don't. They use like a drying machine,
Okay.
like a dehydrator.
But do they like, so
It's just fans. It's only fans. It's just fans. It just blows air over it so that it dries.
oh, poor had a little bit kill,
I know.
not kill green, 炒茶.
Yeah, I know that they use a little bit of heat in pu'er.
Yeah, it was with wood fire, and then they toast it in the were the ones that I see that use the actual a wok.
Yeah.
And then a fire, actual wood fire, and then a guy just toast it in a wok, and then I mean, he will press it or whatever, but like kind of touch it and stuff, and then it become like wither,
Yeah.
right? And then he will lay it on the basket. So I'm not sure if he was doing a killing green, but the for sure there's still some heat into a pu'er tea, but just doesn't feel like as much as
with oolong.
oolong tea,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And with this, I guess it's even more or even less heat. Right. It's just drying. All they do is dry it. They don't use heat to stop the enzymes from working.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's really beautiful. It's still a little bit wild. So I'm curious to see what happens over time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was thinking about
curious to
pressing cakes
taste
of
it.
this tea.
Oh.
I thought that would be really
should.
sweet. Yeah, I know.
But,
I don't know if I can find anyone here in Taiwan that presses cakes that well, though.
Yeah, true. We can ask around.
We could ask Lamu if she wants to do it.
Send the tea back to Yunnan.
Yeah.
Yeah, here you go. Why not?
No, send the tea
'cause-
back to Seattle and see if Lamu will do it. If Glenn and Lamu can press the cakes for us.
You gotta have the stone.
Oh.
Oh, maybe I can do it. I actually tried in the stone before, but you gotta have steam though. You steam up the tea.
You steam it and then you stone it.
Yeah, and then the stone have no, and then you steam it, you put it in a cloth.
Oh,
And then you
I've
roll
seen
it
that
up,
before
and then
in videos.
yeah, and then you put it in between the stone, and then the stone has a hollow shape, and then you stand on a stone after you put the tea in, and then kind of put it away in all corners and the middle like evenly, and then it's done, and then you take the cake out and then put it on the rack, and then just air dry it a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Or to a point that it's air dry.
Yeah.
Because since it was steam, there was a little bit moisture inside.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to get this tea pressed into cakes. I think it would be really beneficial.
Maybe we can do it actually in Seattle.
Yeah. If we could figure out a way. I mean, there's not that much, so
Maybe we can just use wood.
use wood.
Yeah, carve up some wood, and it will not be that tightly pressed, but it's still pressed. I think maybe.
Yeah, we could. I think we should talk to Glenn and Lamu because they would know the process better than us, and we could see if we could figure out a way to make it happen.
Oh, cool.
That would be great.
That would be a fun project.
Yeah, because I seriously think
we are crazy.
They probably think we're crazy, but yeah, this tea is like it's if you can see potential in a tea, you'll be able to see that it has a lot going on, but it's not beautiful yet. You know. Yeah. So I would be really curious to see how it ages.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's do that. A good
Yeah.
project.
Yeah,
And
totally.
then we can release it in 20 years. 2041, people.
Yeah. It's like Mr. John a 3 weeks ago now. He got out a tour, 100-gram tour of Kukpur to taste. He's always tasting tea. He's always tasting his teas, whether it's teas that he just roasted or teas that he's had forever. This tea he got in 1990, so he's had it for 30 years. And he tasted it. He said, it's tasting pretty good right now. I think it needs 10 more years. And he's like, 10 more years, I'm already 70, 75. In 10 more years, I'll be 85. I think I want to do.
time.
I think I want to do tea until I'm 90. Nah, maybe I'll do it until I'm 100.
It's such a wonderful goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
But anyway, yeah,
what
the tea's great. Being in the
What
place
else
being in the place was amazing. I mean, I'm trying to keep it on one subject because there's so much to talk about because I was there for an entire week.
True. Yeah.
But I would go on long walks because roasting, a lot of the time you're waiting, right? So, I would help move heavy things for them and stuff like that or whatever, clean stuff. But a lot of the time I was just waiting for the tea for the next time that I needed to flip the tea in the roasting process. Because roasting one tea there can take between 4 and 7 or 8 hours, depending on the tea and depending on how many times you've roasted it. So I'd go on long walks, and at one point I was walking and then I came out and there was this like a little wooden overhang. You can go out on the little wooden deck and look over the side of the mountain. And I went up when I went out to look, and then I was walking down because I could see really well from down there. And I was walking down, and I walked right into a spider web. But it wasn't just any spider web; it was like a spider web that was bigger than me. And the spider was as big as my face. Seriously, the spider was huge. Like the body of the spider was probably about as big as a walnut.
Whoa! And
Yeah.
then the legs are
And
just so long.
The legs were so long that it was about as big as my face. And I
Oh my
walked
God.
right into the web. It wasn't sticky, but it also usually when you walk into a spider web, you walk right through it and it's like, oh, sorry. But this time it stopped me. Like I probably could have walked through I definitely could have walked through if I kept pressing through, but it stopped me in my mid stride. It was that strong. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, sorry, spider, I just got to feel this for a minute. So I was a comfortable distance away from the spider, but I was still touching his web. And on like one of the main anchor strands, I grabbed it with my 2 fingers and pulled it to see how strong it was. I could pull it and it wouldn't break. I could take 2 fingers and pull it apart and stretch it and it wouldn't break.
Wow.
Yeah. So huge.
So it's pretty thick, huh? Because
Yeah,
here
thick.
actually the spider web is thin, but sometimes we just like you said, we accidentally walk across to one and we break one.
Yeah.
So sorry, but that I can take one and then kind of pull it, and then there is some sort of strength.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like wow, it's strong.
It's really strong
stuff.
It's more
So-
similar to fishing line than anything else.
So the one you touch is probably like really, really strong then.
Yeah, totally. Really strong.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Huh.
Yeah, really strong. Yeah, so that was pretty crazy. But just another thing of like just how much life there. Like I was walking across the street and it was raining and a frog ran right into my foot. Like he just hopped and he bonked his head right on my ankle. And then he stopped and then I walked by and then he kept going again. Like they're just like little animals all over the place. Geckos and
There are a
spiders.
lot of
and-
geckos.
a lot of geckos. Bihu.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they make a funny sound.
Yeah.
They make a funny Yeah.
Not like that. A little bit
That's
more
it.
higher pitch than that. I don't know how
That's
to
it, that's
call
it.
it. They make sound, and then the outside ones I'm not sure. I bet there are also geckos, and then they have colors and very pretty. And then
Yeah.
the inside ones in the house, it's actually probably they they have to camouflage, and so they just naturally later grow into almost like a gray wall color. So they are
Yeah,
not
yeah.
pretty. They don't have a pretty color, and then they make a really interesting sound.
Yeah. The outside ones look like more like lizards. Like the skin is a little bit more rough, and they
Yeah.
have a little bit of a spine.
Yeah.
Like those spines on their spine, and then the inside ones are soft looking, and yeah, like you said, like beige or brown or gray, and they make that funny sound.
Yeah.
So the first I didn't know what it was, and they were just like making that sound in my room all night. I was like, "What is this thing that's in my room? Is it a little bird? What is it?" I couldn't figure it out. So then I asked Mr. Su, and he told me it's a gecko. Yeah.
But how do you know it's a gecko when he says it's 壁虎?
Yeah. No, because I was in his living room. Their living room is really interesting. I should talk about that in a minute. But I was in their living room, and there was a gecko, and I heard the sound. I didn't see the animal, and I said, "Hey, what's that sound?" He's like, "Bihu,"
Yeah.
and then he wrote it out for me. Every time I asked him what something was, he would write the characters out for me. He said, "You can look this up on your phone. You should
And
look this
it
up on your
actually
phone."
It translates?
To gecko?
Yeah.
I didn't actually look it up. I think it's a gecko though. A bihu, yeah, it's gecko. A bihu is a gecko. But every time he would tell me a word, I was like, "Oh, what is this?" And he was like, "It was like a damselfly, which is a small dragonfly." And I think it's liaoding or something like that. Liaoding.
不知道.
I don't remember anymore. But he's like liaoding, whatever it was, liaoding. And then he's like, no, liao ding. And then he would write it down on a piece of paper, the characters, and said, "You can look this up on your phone. You take this and look this up on your phone, and then you'll know." So
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's I don't know. There's a lot to talk about the place. It's
So
mostly
you want to talk about their living room?
Oh yeah, the living room is like it's like their tea tasting room, and it's also the room that they hang out in all day, and it's also the room that they eat dinner in. And it's just like a garage shape basically. It's like a big open door, like garage style door, and then just a room inside. It looks like a garage, like a small garage.
I know. There's a cabinet there. There's a table,
Yeah.
chairs, and
Lots
then
of chairs.
some tea there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a TV because there's also their living room.
Yeah. And they just hang out there all day, and it's like it's right on the road. So like if people walk by, you can talk to them, and you can see what's going on outside, and when a big bus drives by, you can't see the top of it because it's so big and the road is so small. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like nice place to sit and drink tea and hang out. Mm-hmm. Just basic. Like everything is everything is old fashioned, like very countryside, out there.
Yeah. And I think he also Mr. Su also chose to live that way and to be old fashioned. He is a very eccentric and very stubborn person. And so in a way being there especially hanging out with him, it feels like that it should be Taiwan was that way. Majorly countryside, Taiwan was that way about 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And around him, because Dongding was Dongding tea was very popular for a while, and so
Like
some
the
people
70s
became
and
very
80s, right? It was like the Taiwanese tea. It was
yeah,
like the tea.
and then people some farmers became very wealthy, and so when you drive around, you can see some big houses and people are driving very fancy cars and that kind of stuff. But like when you stay with them, it's like wood house and tatami beds.
Yeah, tatami beds.
And the pillow is extremely uncomfortable and it will make a sound, so I never could sleep there.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I was using this pillow that was made out of bamboo. So it it was like or some kind of reed. So it was like bent reed to make almost like a little basket, but in the shape of a pillow, so you could rest your head on it. So it's like it's not soft, it's hard, but it's at least it gives a little bit, because it's hollow.
Yeah, yeah. And then Mrs. Su cooks 3 meals every single day. She's
Actually,
crazy.
Totally. Mr. Su cooked actually a few times when I was up there this time.
Wow.
Yeah. He
Really?
cooked. Yeah, he cooked. She's like, I have to go do something. You cook the food, and then he cooked.
Wow.
Yeah, you probably
that
never
was
ate his
the first
food, huh?
time. No, I never tasted his food. I think one morning she was not there, and I think she was not there, and so he prepared breakfast, which was mantou, the steamed bun,
Yeah.
and then he asked me, Miss Tai, do you drink milk? I said, yes, I do. So I was like, it's betting a cup, a glass of milk or something, which was like so different because, there the breakfast is always like congee and some pickled vegetables and eggs and stuff, right? Or some leftover food from the previous night. But it's like very Chinese food. And like suddenly he asked me if I want milk. I was like, sure. And then he went to heat up water. I was like, well, that was very strange. Why do I need hot water for milk? So I went to the kitchen with him with hot water, and he like took out like 2 metal glass, and then he like opened a can of milk powder. So he put some milk powder in there. He opened another can of stuff. I said, hey, what's that? He's like, almond powder. It's good for you. I said, oh, okay. And then he opened another can of something. And I was like, what is that? And then he said, it's a goat milk powder. It's also really good for you. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then he opened another jar. And I said, oh, the magic tree powder.
Oh, you got magic.
He had some sort of.
You got magic tree powder in your milk. Just might as well add some for you. Why not?
Yeah. He talked about magic trees. I never bothered to know what it is.
Don't
And then
know
he
where
would
it
give me
comes
a cup
from.
of
But it's like
yeah, and then and he will give me a couple of jars when I go there. I think he gave up because I never talk about the magic trees powder and stuff. So he probably realized that I never eat them.
Yeah.
But anyway, that morning he put a cup of a spoonful of the magic powder for me, and then pour some hot water over and mix it up. And he mixed a cup for my son. And of course, for those of you who know my son, he can be a little bit picky on the food. He was like, I'm not gonna drink that. and then so my son was sitting at the side of the table feeling a little bit sulky, and then he saw that. He's like, you got to tell your kid to behave, to eat the right food, to eat healthy food. This is very good for him. I was like, yes. Yeah, but when he doesn't want to eat something, he doesn't want to eat it. And he's like, you got to tell him to eat it. And I said, maybe you should tell him to eat it. Yeah, that was our breakfast. That was good. But I never see him cooking food. Yeah,
he stir-fried vegetables. He, pan-fried fish.
Cool.
Just
Yeah.
normal stuff.
Wow, you are lucky.
Yeah, I mean, it tasted good. It was a lot like Mrs. Su's cooking.
Yeah, their cooking is very, very simple and basic. Yeah. But as you said, the ingredients are very good. Like the chicken, it's just like for flavor.
It's like mountain chicken.
Even
They're
if
just running around.
Yeah, even if they just pan fry it with a little bit like ginger, it's just like, wow, it's like, a lot of flavor. Bamboo shoots.
Yeah.
Oh, I love those things. And then the mountains grow bamboo shoots.
Yeah, they eat a
there.
lot of bamboo shoots.
We will go. Oh my God, that was my favorite. And so like the vegetables are very fresh. Everything was very fresh, and probably all very organic too. So it was really good to eat there.
Yeah, they grow everything themselves. Or not everything. A lot of the stuff they grow themselves comes from their own garden. Or like they get it from like a cousin or or a niece or a
Yeah.
nephew, or you know.
Yeah.
So it's all
yeah. I
or
think
wild
people
vegetables.
people give stuff to each
Yeah,
other
yeah.
on the mountain.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's dongding. That's basically
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's like stepping back in time in a lot of ways. And then
Yeah,
the earth
totally.
there,
I
the
mean-
earth itself is really, really just full of energy, like super, super full of energy. Yeah, there's nowhere else like it.
Mm. Yeah.
It's incredible. Like I've said it so many times, but the scenery is just it's so different than anywhere else, and it has so much personality. It's not just that it's pretty looking or nice looking or something like that. It's just like it's kind of astounding. Like it really jumps out at you. Yeah, the scenery. If you look if you look off the side of the plateau and look up at the mountains out there, it's incredible.
It's beautiful,
Yeah,
right?
It's incredible.
It's like earlier that I said that grandness.
Yeah, it's grand.
That when it's grand, and that really you can really see a part of Taiwanese mountains, what they are about.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
it's incredible.
Yeah. And then with Mr. Su being so eccentric, it add a lot of colors to my experiences there.
And they do tea in a more
uh,
old-fashioned way, you know, because he's so
yeah.
into doing things in the traditional way.
Totally, yeah. And so, I mean, these past years, I would say I encountered some difficulties dealing with him, but the tea was so good. I just have to go back, and then slowly I learned actually how kind he is. Behind all that stubbornness and like his strong personality, and he's that constantly telling me what to do and constantly talking without stopping, etc., etc. It's just so kind, and he mean well, and he want to stay old-fashioned because he thinks that's the real way of life, that people shouldn't be greedy. People should follow nature, eat natural food that got grown from the earth naturally. So when we do tea, we got to drink. He always there's a theme word mountain, on the Blondin mountain. It's called natural. And then he's also not wasteful person at all. I mean, when you live in the mountain with a minimal amount of resource, he will go pick fruits and things, and he will take them all home and make how do you call that?
Potions.
I call it his brew.
Yeah.
Potions?
Well,
Yeah, homemade.
they're like vinegar. It's like a fermented sweet vinegar thing. Drink. I guess it's a drink. It's like a potion.
Yeah, he
it's
will
really
make
strong.
that
It's like he takes a bunch of fruit,
jars of them.
natural fruit that he found, that no one's picking it. He takes it all and he puts it in these
Yeah.
big jars, and then he covers it with raw cane sugar.
Sugar.
Yeah, I found
right?
out that he's using raw cane sugar in like
okay.
300-pound bags or something like that. These gigantic bags of sugar.
Oh my goodness.
And then he just lets it sit there for like a couple years, and then he bottles it, and then he lets it age in the bottle. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
tastes like
And then
it
he
tastes
will-
like
he will dry
vinegar.
some-
It tastes like slightly vinegary, but not super sour because there's so much sugar in there. And he'll drink it. You'll mix it with a little bit of gaoliang, like Taiwanese
Sorghum.
liquor, like 50-60%
Yeah.
white liquor. And then and that's like his nightcap. But it's not very alcoholic. You don't use very much of the liquor.
Yeah.
It's mostly the potion. Yeah. I think it tastes pretty good. I like it. Cho doesn't drink it.
Oh, it's like kind of it's like pretty sweet for me, and it's sticky.
It's really
It's like actually really Yeah, it's like it got a lot of also not just the sugar that he put in, there's sugar from the fruit
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So it's really sweet.
And they have been brewed for like a year or two, so it's like kind of sticky and kind of strange to me.
Yeah, it has like a, like I said, it has like a vinegar smell. It's kind of like
But
vinegar.
he strongly believes that thing is very healthy. He drinks it every night. He bottles them.
And he gives them to
then he
people.
will take
So like
some.
if you're driving
Yeah,
along the road and then he sees somebody that he knows, then he'll get out.
He rolled down the window.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he'll roll in the window, say talk to him for a little bit, and then he has bottles of the potions in the back of his car, and he'll just give him
Yeah.
a couple bottles. Or if he goes to visit someone's house, we didn't visit anyone's house because of the lockdown in Taiwan. We're just staying at home. But usually, if we go to someone's house, he'll always bring a couple bottles and leave it for them and tell them to drink it.
Yeah. He's like really kind.
Yeah.
He just share his food and share things that he think it's really good for people's body. It's just very generous. And then every single time, before I leave, like the car come to pick me up. Damn it, he'll give me like 3 cases of stuff.
Yeah, he gives a lot of
Dried
stuff. But
fruit.
he just wants you to come. He wants you to
Dried
go back home
fruit.
with a lot of stuff. He wants you to go back home with a lot of healthy
Yeah.
stuff. I think he really strongly believes, and I don't think that he's wrong, that when people come up to his mountain to stay with him, they after they stayed for a couple of days, they're more healthy than they were when they got there. So he wants them to bring stuff from the mountain back home so that they can stay more healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way he's giving away stuff is like a whole box full of dry fruit, a whole box of those potions
Like
that he
12
brewed,
bottles
which is
of
like
the potion.
12 bottles, and then some fresh fruit or vegetables that they have that day, and then they'll just shovel it all in your bag, and then abundance bottles of water that is like mountain water, and then he will give it all to us. And then if we ever go up to the mountain with the store-bought bottles of water, he will just like not really yell at us, but just basically say it's really bad for you and it's full of poison.
He keeps talking about
really bad
bottled
for your
water is
body.
poison, and bottled water has
Yeah.
chemicals, man-made chemicals to keep you drinking it, and it's poison for your body and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, he thinks it is not good.
Yeah. And then so I basically always lived on the mountain with like not only my tea, and then cases of the natural, healthy, good stuff that he collected and made and stuff. Yeah, just a really kind, generous person. Yeah,
And eccentric and interesting.
and very eccentric.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still won't call him delightful like the farmer Chen farmer.
Well, because a lot of times up there, it's really fun, and then a lot of times up there, you're getting yelled at for eating poison, or he's telling you that like, yeah, you're somehow, yeah,
Yeah.
everyone outside is eating poison and it's not good for their bodies and stuff like that. So you hear that over and over again.
Yeah. But just I think him and Mrs. Su too, and the place Dongding, there's something about it and something about them that is very attractive, and I want to go back over and over again.
Yeah.
Because it's very interesting. That place is interesting. They are interesting also,
And there's no one else making tea like that.
Yeah, and no matter how like sometimes I feel like he is such a difficult person, but he's also a person that earlier on in my tea journey that told me something so huge. I think I always remember that in my head and in my mind, and to see my connection with Mrs. Su, and to see how wise she is to walk through her life in the environment. It's just incredible strength that woman has, and incredible wisdom that she owns, and what a hard worker. She does everything.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and she still have the faith. Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't talk very much because
Yeah.
he's talking all the time, but she actually does all the tea. Everything related to tea, she does it. She makes tea. She makes tea
Yeah.
by hand, like this black tea, completely handmade. Picks tea, roasts all the tea. Yeah, she does everything. So
Yeah,
all the tea
she's,
wisdom is actually with her. So she's the one that if you actually want to
Yeah.
learn anything about tea, you should talk to her because she just knows
Yeah.
so much. She's a master. She's like, I was telling you this yesterday. She's, you know, I mean, you don't think of it that way because you think of a master as like, you know, someone like Teacher John.
Yeah.
That's like more philosophical and has all these really good tasting teas. I mean, when you get tea from Mrs. Su, it's you know, it's good drinking tea. But it's not finished with the touch of like Mr. John's touch is much more delicate and refined. She has like her recipes for roasting. She does a good job. She roasted like old fashioned, really good to drink. But her depth of knowledge is really that of a master. Like you talk to her about tea, the way that she understands tea is really incredible and really deep. Yeah. Yeah. I've had a few chances when Mr. Su is taking one of his naps. He takes a nap every day. So I get a chance to talk to her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He takes a nap from
Yeah.
1 p.m. until 3 p.m. every day. So I get a chance to talk to her for a while. And yeah, she's her knowledge is incredibly deep. Yeah.
Maybe in the next episode we can talk about that, because I think this one is getting long.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, true.
and there's still so much to talk about the experiences with Mr. and Mrs. Su, but and the story will always go back to him because he's such a
He's a big
person.
personality. Yeah, he's a big personality.
And loud person.
Yeah.
And he talks all the time. But I think since we mentioned her in the end, I think we can start with her in the next episode. And also she's the one
that
who
sounds
makes
great.
all the tea. So maybe next episode we can talk about the tea processing or the tea learning that you have
Yeah.
with her, and then the tea wisdom that you learned from her.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds
Yeah.
good.
Cool. Good. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Noah was drinking a wild grown trees and hand processed black tea. We don't own a lot of that tea, and we might do a crazy project in Seattle and try to press that black
Yeah,
tea.
we got to see if we can find a way to press this
And-
tea. I think it's going to age really well because it seriously reminds me of when a pu'er is really young. It's got a huge amount of potential, but it's like the face of the tea is not very pretty yet. So give it some time. I think it'll develop into something really, really incredible. I don't know if roasting might be a way to do that too. I'll talk to Teacher if I get a chance to see him
Yeah.
again before I leave Taiwan. I'll talk to him and say, hey, if you had this tea, would you roast it or would you age it? Because there's, you know, he doesn't roast pu'er, and he doesn't roast black tea from Yunnan either. But with Taiwanese black tea, he roasts it. So it's like there's different ways to deal with take something that's naturally has a lot of potential and then bring out the potential. And sometimes you do that with age, and sometimes you do that with fire. With oolong tea, you do it with
Yeah.
fire. So
I hope
I'll talk to
you
him.
can see him again.
Yeah, I think
totally.
the cases are starting to look a little bit more contained.
Content,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
so-
yes. I've been watching that all the time.
Yeah.
I've been watching that every single
Yeah,
day.
yeah. So I have hope that the Taiwanese government
Yes.
has done a much better job at containing this thing, and we'll be able to do a little bit more, you know, normal stuff in a couple weeks. So if that's the
Excellent,
case, then I'll be able to
excellent.
hang out with Mr. John again, and then I would like to bring
Yay.
this tea to him and ask him, like, if you had this tea, what would you do? It's interesting. It's actually not. It's not. If you look at the leaf, you can't see the leaf because my screen is probably not that high quality resolution, but really nice big whole leaves. There's still a little bit of green. It's not like really dark oxidized black tea.
Yeah. I think we can do both.
Age it and roast it?
Roast it and
Yeah,
age
yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. I think a little bit heat is okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to do a lot of heat.
Yeah.
There will be there. I mean, I even haven't tasted the tea, but that's my hunch right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so don't tell Mr. Zhang what I randomly talk about. Ask him. I want to see what he talk about.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. I'll ask him.
Yeah.
I'll ask him.
Yeah. Cool.
I think it's gonna be.
This
I
has
think it's gonna
been,
be really special. And I got a lot of other teas too. I'll have the teas up in a few days when I get my work schedule back going again. I got some red
Perfect.
oolong. I got some dongding. The wild black tea is gonna wait for a little bit to make it more and more special. But yeah, I got some teas, so that's good.
Excellent. So yeah, I think we are going to dedicate this episode and then the next few episodes to the place Dongding in Taiwan. It's a really special place, and I love that place. I love Dongding tea. So you guys hopefully are not too tired of listening about things from Dongding Mountain. And meanwhile, Noah will continue to stay in Taiwan and will keep watching the development of the COVID cases, Taiwan lockdown, and so it impact the shipping to actually everywhere, I guess, but to United States in a big times, because somehow at the postal service here in United States, they don't key in the tracking number, which is a very new thing to us. I remember in the past, no matter what method we send with the postal service, when it arrived to United States, the tracking number always got entered. Yeah. So meanwhile, we got to while we are trying to watch the development on the shipping and on the Taiwan COVID cases surge. We don't know how long it's gonna last, so we decided to ship some tea into Seattle again for those people that in the United States side can get the tea hopefully a little bit more on the safe side and the faster side. So if you want again, please check out Floating Leaf floatingleaf.us site. There will be more and more oolong garlic tea on the site, and then meanwhile, Sunny and Noah will be in the Taiwan's side to continue to ship out your teas and teaware also to United States and to a lot of other countries is in Europe and in other continents.
Yeah.
There will be
Once again,
floatingleaves.com.
Yeah. Once again, if you're in the U.S., check out floatingleaves.us.
Yeah. For now.
Yeah. For now.
Cool. Excellent. I love talking about Dongding, and while we're talking, I have been drinking a charcoal roasted Dongding actually, and with just maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 leaves. The number keep going up, and just grandpa style. So I don't get too much caffeine because it is 8 p.m. here in Seattle. But just so wonderful to talk to you, Noah, and for you to bring me back up to that wonderful Dongding Plateau again.
Yeah. It's been an incredible experience being up there for like a week. Being up on Dongding for a week. It was awesome. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think that's it. And people stay healthy and happy and keep drinking tea. We'll see you on the next episode on Monday.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.